Now, the 80s and the 90s were quite the decades for sword and sorcery movies. I mean, this was the age of extremes, and nearly everything felt like it was striving to be over the top in one way or another. And yet, some gems managed to make their way into the hearts of people growing up back then, while continuing to get more fans from the later decades. And in this video, we're going to give you this magnificent list of 20 best 80s and early 90s R-rated, ultra-violent, and adult sword and sorcery movies. Let's begin, shall we? But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Conan the Barbarian, 1982. Who knows what they came for? Weapons of steel or murder? It was never known, for the leader went to the south. As a child, Conan watches his family and village slaughtered by the warlord Thulsa Doom. The warlord's two-headed snake sigil scars his memory forever, but also makes him determined, so much so that Conan vows revenge. After the massacre, Conan and other children are forced into labor and slavery. He spends years turning the giant wheel of pain, growing stronger and resilient while others perish. Eventually, Conan is sold to become a gladiator. His time as a gladiator ends when his new owner frees him, which allows Conan to focus on his own mission of defeating Thulsa Doom once and for all. Conan's knowledge of Thulsa Doom is limited to his sigil, so he travels the world in search of him. During his journey, he meets two thieves, Valeria and Subutai. Together, they uncover that a doomsday cult heavily uses snake symbolism. They raid the cult, and Conan's strength is witnessed in its full glory for the first time. Impressed, King Osric offers Conan wealth in exchange for rescuing his daughter from the snake cult. However, Conan prioritizes his quest and leaves his friends to pursue Thulsa Doom alone. Conan learns that defeating Thulsa Doom requires infiltrating the cult. He teams up with a hermitic wizard and disguises himself as a priest to enter the Mountain of Power. Conan is captured and brought before Thulsa Doom, who orders his crucifixion in a desert. Left to die, Conan is saved by Subutai and Valeria, while the wizard resurrects him at a great cost. The trio returns to the Mountain of Power to rescue King Osric's daughter from Doom's harem. During the rescue, Thulsa Doom kills Valeria, fulfilling the wizard's prophecy. They discover the cult members are cannibals who value flesh over steel, and Thulsa Doom is a demigod born from the evil god Set. Directed by John Milius, the film faithfully embodies Howard's vision of Conan, showing raw masculinity and epic storytelling. While the portrayal of women may seem exploitative by modern standards, it reflects the harsh world Howard created. The film excels as a sword and sorcery masterpiece and throws light upon Conan's relentless pursuit of revenge. Arnold Schwarzenegger's transformation into Conan was challenging. He shed significant weight and overcame his lack of martial arts and acting experience. His strong Austrian accent posed difficulties, but his dedication shone through intense scenes, including running from fierce dogs that could have hurt him in reality and performing stunts like biting a dead vulture's neck. Despite these hurdles, Arnold's performance led to his future iconic roles in films like Predator and Terminator.
We have our king!
Excalibur, 1981. In the Dark Ages, the sorcerer Merlin retrieves Excalibur from the Lady of the Lake for Uther Pendragon, who becomes king. Uther gains the help of Merlin to seduce Igraine, wife of the Duke of Cornwall, leading to Arthur's birth. Merlin takes the child as promised, and Uther is later ambushed and thrusts the Excalibur into a stone before dying. Merlin declares only the rightful king can pull the sword from the stone. Arthur, raised by Ector, unknowingly fulfills the prophecy and becomes king. He wins allies like Leodegrance and defeats foes who question his legitimacy. Arthur wields Excalibur to unify the land and builds Camelot. He marries Guinevere, despite Merlin's warning of future betrayal. Lancelot joins Arthur's knights, but falls in love with Guinevere, creating a tragic love triangle. Arthur's half-sister, Morgana, a sorceress, traps Merlin and gives birth to Mordred, Arthur's son. The kingdom falls into chaos. Arthur sends his knights to find the Holy Grail, hoping to restore the land and himself. Mordred grows up and challenges Arthur for the throne. With the Grail retrieved by Percival, Arthur regains his strength, defeats Mordred, and reconciles with Guinevere. Arthur's final act is returning Excalibur to the Lady of the Lake, cementing his legacy. John Boorman's Excalibur retells the King Arthur legend with stunning visuals and respect for the original lore. The cinematography is exceptional, which gives the film a painterly quality that enhances its epic scope. The cast, including Nigel Terry as Arthur, Nicole Williamson as Merlin, and Helen Mirren as Morgana, deliver strong performances despite occasional overacting. Boorman's direction ensures rich world-building and memorable set pieces, though some dialogue feels overly poetic and certain scenes appear dated. The battle sequences are chaotic and realistic, and effectively convey the film's dark tone. While the portrayal of violence and sexual content may not appeal to all audiences, the film excels in its craftsmanship with impressive costumes, scenery, and a fitting musical score. Fans of medieval fantasy will appreciate its dedication to the mythos, and if you're into stuff like Game of Thrones, definitely give it a watch. Kull the Conqueror, 1997. Kull strives to join Volusia's elite Dragon Legion, but is rejected by General Taligaro, who deems him unworthy as a barbarian from Atlantis. Soon after, Taligaro learns that King Borna of Volusia has gone mad and has been slaughtering his heirs. He rushes to Volusia with Kull in tow. In their confrontation, Kull mortally wounds Borna, who, with his last breath, names Kull his successor. This declaration upsets Taligaro and the gathered nobles. Shortly after, Kull meets his harem and recognizes Zoraida, a fortune-teller who once foretold his kingship. He summons her to his chambers, where she reveals that the fate of his kingdom depends on a kiss. Kull attempts to sleep with Zoraida, but dismisses her when she reminds him she is a slave meant to obey his commands. The next day, Kull tries to free his slaves, but is hindered by Volusia's strict laws, detailed in stone tablets. During his coronation, Taligaro and his cousin attempt to assassinate Kull, but fail. That night, necromancer Inaros approaches Taligaro and his conspirators and offers to resurrect Akivasha, the sorceress queen of the ancient Acheron Empire destroyed by the god Valka. Akivasha seeks to restore Acheron by using Taligaro's group to gain power. She enchants Kull and becomes his queen before placing him in a death-like slumber. Akivasha frames Zoraida for regicide and takes Kull to her temple. Kull the Conqueror sits below Conan the Barbarian and above Red Sonja, matching Conan the Destroyer in the sword and sorcery genre. Sorbo plays Kull faithfully and stays true to the source material better than Arnold ever did. Jeffrey does well as a grim villain, while Tia Carrere's performance as Akivasha is something I just could not miss mentioning, so much so that she could be one of the reasons for watching the movie. The film's fantasy sets and locations create an immersive world, and the fight scenes are well choreographed and fast-paced. However, the PG-13 rating limits the film's ability to explore deeper adult fantasy elements, a common issue in similar movies. The generic rock music during fight scenes detracts from the otherwise epic score. Supporting actors sometimes falter and weaken certain scenes, but the most significant issue of all is that the script feels rushed at 90 minutes, leaving little room for character development. Despite these flaws, Kull the Conqueror is an entertaining and energetic fantasy film, and although it failed at the box office, it is worth revisiting. Conan the Destroyer, 1984. The film opens with Conan being ambushed by Queen Taramis's troops. Alongside his thieving yet humorous friend Malik, Conan defeats all the guard. Impressed by his skills, Queen Taramis requests Conan to undertake certain tasks for her. Initially, Conan refuses, but when Taramis promises to revive his lost love, Valeria, he agrees. His mission is to find the Heart of Ahriman, a lost gem needed to awaken the god Dagoth. Princess Jenna, Taramis's niece, can handle the gem, so Conan must take her with him. To assist, Taramis sends her personal guard, Bombada, who is secretly ordered to kill Conan once the tasks are completed. During their quest, the group encounters a magician named Akiro, whom Conan rescues from Cannonball. They also save a warrior named Zula from villagers who accuse her of theft. Grateful for Conan's help, Akiro and Zula Azula join his quest. One night, they reach Thoth-Amon's castle, where the gem is kept. Thoth-Amon kidnaps Princess Jenna by transforming into a giant phoenix. Akira uses his magic to locate her. Inside the castle, Conan faces a monstrous creature in a hall of mirrors and defeats it by destroying the mirror. Thoth-Amon meets his end when he tries to escape with the gem, causing his destruction. On their return, Queen Taramis's guards attack them but are defeated by Conan. Bombarda attempts to follow orders and kill Conan but fails. Later, Jenna begins the ritual to awaken Dagoth, trapping Conan, Malik, Akira, and Zula in the structure while Bombarda takes Jenna to the Queen, who plans to sacrifice her to Dagoth. Directed by Richard Fleischer, the film earned a PG rating instead of an R, leading to mixed reactions. Conan's softened characterization, reduced violence, and diminished sexual appeal disappointed fans who were expecting a tougher hero. Universal's interference aimed to make the film family-friendly, especially after the success of E.T., but this backfired with the core audience. Despite these changes, the film resonated with younger viewers, particularly preteen children, which influenced Conan's later ventures into animation. While longtime fans felt the film strayed from Conan's traditional persona, its entertaining adventure and engaging characters made it enjoyable for its target audience. The Sword and the Sorcerer, 1982. King Titus Cromwell and his men arrive on Tomb Island seeking Zusia of Delos, a deceased sorcerer who can help overthrow Cromwell's rival, King Richard of Edon. Using one of Zusia's worshippers, Cromwell awakens the sorcerer and convinces him to join his cause. With Zusia's dark magic, Cromwell swiftly defeats Richard's army. Fearing betrayal, Cromwell stabs Zusia with a dagger and chases him off a cliff. With only one army left, Richard leads a final charge against Cromwell. He orders his family to flee to the river and entrusts his youngest son, Talon, with a triple-bladed projectile sword before instructing him to avenge his death if necessary. On the battlefield, Talon meets Mogollon, his father's advisor, who, despite being gravely wounded, had enough life in him to confirm that the battle is lost. Talon witnesses his father's execution by Cromwell, which makes him hungry for revenge. Mogollon warns that Cromwell will intercept the Queen at the river. Talon races to save his mother, but arrives too late as Cromwell kills her. After surviving an ambush, Talon evades capture and flees the kingdom. 11 years later, a seasoned Talon returns to seek vengeance. Zusia vows to repay Cromwell for his betrayal. In Edon, a rebellion led by Prince Mika, Richard's advisor's son, emerges as the rightful heir. Cromwell's war chancellor, Miceli, confirms the rebellion's plan. During a meeting with his sister Alana, Cromwell bursts in, which leads to a battle where Mika is captured. Alana escapes but is cornered by Cromwell's men, who attempt to rape her, but Talon intervenes and defeats the attackers. At a tavern, Alana learns Mika is imprisoned and requests Talon to rescue him and the trapped rebels from Cromwell's Red Dragon archers. The Sword and the Sorcerer is one of the best bad fantasy films of the early 80s, period. Needless to say, it achieved mild box office success, but as you can see, it still does well when it comes to popularity. The film excels in creating an engaging atmosphere despite its modest budget, especially with all the intriguing and eye-catching visuals that complement its campy charm. Richard Lynch delivered a believable performance as the evil Cromwell, and this guy, he exuded pure evil, while Lee Horsley shines as the rogue Talon in his debut role. Kathleen Beller, who played Alana, knew how to remain strong as well as sensual on the screen. In fact, Zusia the Sorcerer proves that sorcery can be deadly without being flashy or over the top. Now, I would be sinning if I did not mention that the outrageous swords in the movie were more like a character in their own right. Director Albert Pyun brings a unique, almost mad genius to the project, crafting scenes that are both brazen and appealing. Needless to say, the humor interspersed throughout the film enhances its entertainment value and makes it more enjoyable than contemporaries like Conan the Barbarian. While definitely not realistic, the film invites viewers to suspend disbelief and immerse themselves in its magical world. Overall, The Sword and the Sorcerer offers a fun, action-packed adventure that needs you to have a taste for movies like its kind. Deathstalker, 1983. Deathstalker, a super-strong warrior, receives a mission from a witch to locate 3 powerful items: a chalice, an amulet, and a sword. As it happens, the wicked sorcerer Munkar possesses 2 of these artifacts. Deathstalker quickly discovers the sword, which has been kept hidden by the witch in a cave and was further guarded by an ogre and an imp. The imp, Salmaron, reveals himself as a cursed thief and assists Deathstalker in defeating the ogre. Grateful, Deathstalker lifts the curse from Salmaron, who then joins him on his quest. With the sword in hand, Deathstalker heads to Munkar's castle to secure the remaining items. During his journey, Deathstalker meets Ogress, a charming warrior who informs him about a tournament organized by Munkar. Munkar has summoned warriors from across the land to compete in deadly contests, with the victor set to inherit his kingdom. One night, while traveling to the tournament, Deathstalker and Salmaron encounter Kyra, a fierce female warrior clad only in a G-string and cloak. That night, Deathstalker gets touchy with Kyra, while Salmaron watches in amusement. The next morning, Kyra joins their group. Upon arriving at Munkar's castle, Deathstalker and the other competitors gather in the banquet room the night before the tournament. Munkar invites them to drink and abuse his harem slaves, including Princess Kodile. Deathstalker briefly rescues Princess Kodile, but Munkar reclaims her. In fact, Munkar confides in his assistant that his true plan is to have the warriors kill each other until only a weakened survivor remains, whom he will then eliminate to secure his rule. Deathstalker is the first of 10 films Roger Corman produced in Argentina with Hector Oliveira. The fact that Deathstalker is a good movie is proven by its 3 sequels, a feat achieved by few movies. Aimed at creating low-budget heroic fantasy films during the genre's peak, Corman sought to develop a character similar to Conan the Barbarian, but without securing the rights. Argentina's lower production costs made it an ideal location, which helped all the stakeholders, including the Argentine film industry. Released in the 80s, Deathstalker achieved cult status with its straightforward plot of a blonde warrior challenging an evil sorcerer by collecting 3 powerful items and competing in a brutal tournament. The film features muscular warriors, semi-nude women, bizarre villains, and fantastical creatures, all presented in a concise runtime that keeps the action engaging. So what more does one want? As a cult classic, Deathstalker is highly recommended for fans of the heroic fantasy genre. Red Sonja, 1985. Sonja, a fierce red-headed warrior, seeks revenge against the evil Queen Gedren, who slaughtered her family and left her for dead. With guidance from a mystical spirit, Sonja acquires extraordinary sword-fighting abilities and starts on a mission to prevent Gedren from using the powerful relic, the Talisman, to annihilate the world. Along her journey, Sonja encounters Prince Tarn and his loyal bodyguard, Falcon. Together, they set out for Birkebane, the land of eternal night where Gedren reside. The trio faces numerous challenges, including fierce battles against Gedren's army, a dragon-like killing machine, and Lord Brightag, who demands a tribute for passage. As they approach Birkebane, Gedren's wizard summons a storm, trapping them in a watery cavern where the killing machine is unleashed. With the aid of Kalidor, a master swordsman descended from the lords who entrusted the talisman to the temple, they manage to blind the creature and escape. During this ordeal, Sonja and Kalidor develop a romantic connection. Finally, Sonja and her allies reach Castle Birkebane, prepared to confront Gedren and her formidable army to stop her destructive plans once and for all. Directed by Richard Fleischer, the film features Bridget Nielsen as the strong, independent Sonja, who became rather iconic, or it's more like she made the character of Sonja iconic. The movie is packed with intense sword fights and battles against various monsters and warriors, and you can rest assured that the action is relentless. Elements of sorcery and mysticism are well integrated, with the talisman itself playing a crucial role in the storyline. The cast is vibrant, including the charming Prince Tarn, the dependable Falcon, and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Kalidor, who, with his romantic involvement with Sonja, makes the movie much more watchable. Highlander, 1986. Originally titled Shadow Clan and directed by Russell Mulcahy, Highlander follows Connor MacLeod of Clan MacLeod. Although set in the present day, the film reveals Connor's history through flashbacks. Born in the 16th century in the Scottish Highlands, Connor grew into a skilled swordsman. During a battle with the Fraser clan, the iconic and super memorable villain Kurgan mortally wounds him, and he dies on the battlefield. Miraculously, Connor survives, which alarms his clan. They suspect him of aligning with the devil and practicing witchcraft, which leads to his banishment. Alone and confused, Connor meets Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, a swordsman. Ramirez becomes his mentor and teaches him about their unique existence. Connor learns he belongs to a rare group of immortals who possess the power of quickening, granting them eternal life. These immortals cannot bear children, but remain ageless and immortal. The only way to kill them is by beheading. Immortals absorb the quickening of others, increasing their power through decapitation. Following the movie's tagline, "There can be only one," the immortals engage in battles to be the last standing. Ramirez explains that when few immortals remain, they will be drawn to a distant land for a final battle called the Gathering. The last survivor will claim the prize, the combined power of all immortals throughout history, sufficient to enslave and rule humanity forever. Highlander, directed by Russell Mulcahy, features Christopher Lambert as the resilient Connor MacLeod. The film enchants fantasy enthusiasts with its elegant sword fights and a unique blend of action and mysticism. Despite a weak opening and initial criticism, it gained a loyal cult following over the years. The cinematography and action scenes are expertly choreographed, avoiding cliches while providing thrilling moments. Clancy Brown's portrayal of Kurgan is what many people watch the movie for. In fact, we explored the prequel comics that explained Kurgan's backstory. You may want to check that out as well. Needless to say, Sean Connery as Ramirez brought the much-needed gravitas to the story, and the cherry on this fantastical cake was Queen's memorable soundtrack. Fire and Ice, 1983. Directed by Ralph Bakshi, the 1983 animated film Fire and Ice tells a tale of resilience and courage. Evil Queen Juliana and her son Necron unleash a massive glacier to conquer the world. As the relentless ice advances, a small village flees south to seek sanctuary in Firekeep, a city built around a volcano and ruled by the kind King Geralt. The looming glacier threatens to engulf everything, making the end seem unavoidable. During this chaos, King Geralt's daughter, Princess Tigra, is kidnapped by Necron, the Ice Lord. She miraculously escapes and meets Larn, a farm boy who survived the glacier's devastation. However, Tigra is soon recaptured, prompting Larn to embark on a dangerous quest to rescue her. Alone and determined, Larn faces numerous challenges in a land filled with monsters and imminent war. Along his journey, he teams up with Dark Wolf, a mysterious and formidable warrior. Together, they go through the treacherous landscapes and battle evil forces, risking their lives to save the princess and stop Necron's plans. This animated movie is bound to captivate you with its vibrant colors and visually appealing animation, despite some choppiness by today's standards. But that's definitely pardonable. The action scenes are the film's highlight, and throughout the movie, Bakshi delivers extremely thrilling and violent encounters that keep viewers engaged. At least I was pretty immersed into the movie when I was watching it for another one of our videos, a deep dive into Fire and Ice. The beautiful backgrounds and attractive color palette also add to the beauty of the film's overall atmosphere. While the characters may appear somewhat wooden and lack emotional depth, their design is impressive and the music perfectly complements the adventurous spirit of the story. Dark Wolf in particular is as compelling a warrior as he is badass. Although the plot is predictable and filled with cliches, Fire and Ice is something you should give a try if you're into sword and sorcery. Or maybe you've watched it already. In that case, watch it again. The Beastmaster, 1982. In the kingdom of Arak, witches reveal to High Priest Max a prophecy that he will die by the hand of King Zed's unborn son. To thwart this, Max sends a witch to kidnap and kill the child. The witch magically removes the baby from his mother's womb and places it into a bowl. She later extracts the baby, brands him with the Mark of Ar, and prepares to sacrifice him. However, a villager rescues the child and raises him as his own in the village of Emer. Named Dar, he learns to fight and gains the ability to communicate telepathically with animals due to his magical origin. Years later, Dar witnesses his village being destroyed by the Juns, fanatic barbarians allied with with Max. As the sole survivor, Dar sets out to Arak to avenge his people. Along the way, he befriends Sherek, a golden eagle, Kodo and Podo, thieving ferrets, and Ruh, a black panther. Dar encounters Kiri, a slave girl, but gets lost and faces a race of eerie half-bird, half-human beings who dissolve their prey for sustenance. The birdmen, who worship eagles, spare Dar when he summons Sherek and gifts him an amulet. Dar eventually reaches Arak, now under Max's control, with the Jun's support. Max captures children to sacrifice to his god Ar. After Sherek rescues Sako's child, Dar learns that Kiri is also to be sacrificed. Determined to save her, Dar is joined by Tal, King Zed's younger son, and his bodyguard Seth. They discover that Kiri is Zed's niece. While Seth gathers their forces, Dar assists Kiri and Tal in infiltrating the temple to rescue King Zed, confronting Max and his army to stop his evil plan. The Beastmaster became an instant classic, as it had the essence of 80s adventure with its action-packed sword fights, high fantasy elements, and magical lore. Mike Donovan gave a fine performance as the heroic Dar, while Tanya Roberts was breathtaking as his sexy love interest. The film's badass villains and vibrant animation improved the overall watchability and appeal, which deservingly made it a favorite among young audiences who reenacted its scenes with action figures. Despite some wooden and two-dimensional characters, the movie excels with its exciting fight sequences and a straightforward, engaging plot. Dragonheart, 1996. In 984 AD, English knight Sir Bowen mentors Saxon prince Einon. During a peasant rebellion, Einon's father, Freyni, is killed by rebels. Later, a peasant girl named Kara accidentally wounds Einon's heart. Desperate to save him, Einon's Celtic mother, Aislinn, seeks the help of a dragon. The dragon saves Einon by replacing his damaged heart with half of his own, binding Einon to rule justly. However, Einon becomes oppressive, enslaving the rebels who killed Freyni and forcing them to rebuild his castle. He also blinds Kara's father, the rebel leader. Believing the dragon's heart corrupted Einon, Bowen vows to hunt him and all dragons. 12 years pass, and Bowen has become a skilled dragon slayer. Kara pleads for Einon to free her father from slavery, but Einon kills him instead. Monk brother Gilbert witnesses Bowen's prowess and decides to document his exploits. Bowen tracks a dragon to its cave, unaware it's the one that saved Einon. Their confrontation ends in a stalemate. The dragon reveals he is the last of his kind. They agree not to kill each other and form a partnership, staging dragon slayings to deceive villager. Bowen names the dragon Draco, not knowing of Draco's connection to Einon, which allows them to share each other's pain. Seeking revenge, Kara attempts to assassinate Einon but fails and is imprisoned. Einon, realizing Kara almost killed him, tries to seduce her and make her his queen. Aislinn despises Einon's actions and helps Kara escape. Kara rallies her village against Einon, but they sacrifice her to Draco. Draco takes Kara to his lair, where Einon arrives to capture her and battles Bowen. The film has some really stunning sets and impressive cinematography. Technically, it exceeds average standards, and a major contributing factor behind that is Edelman's music. While the graphic violence might deter some viewers, it aligns with the film's adventurous spirit. However, I must admit that the script occasionally feels wordy, but overall remains engaging. Performances are strong, especially Sean Connery's charismatic voice work as Draco. Dennis Quaid portrays the hero with charm, and David Thewlis effectively embodies the tyrannical king. Pete Postlethwaite shines as Brother Gilbert, delivering humorous and memorable lines. Despite some script flaws and intense violence, the film remains technically solid and enjoyable. Willow, 1988. In the fantasy world of Nockmaar, the evil sorceress Queen Bavmorda learns of a prophecy that a child with a special rune birthmark will lead to her downfall. To prevent this, she imprisons all pregnant women in her kingdom. Despite her efforts, the prophecy comes true when a baby is born. Bavmorda's mother convinces the midwife to secretly smuggle the baby out of the castle. Pursued by Nockmaar hounds, the midwife sets the infant adrift on a bundle of dried grass in a river, but is killed by the hounds. Meanwhile, Bavmorda dispatches her daughter Sorsha and General Kale with an army to find the child. Downriver, the Nelwyn village prepares for a festival. The baby is discovered by Willow Ufgood's children, and Willow, a farmer and aspiring sorcerer, takes her in. During the festival, a Nockmaar hound attacks the cradles, but the Nelwyn warriors kill it. Willow presents the baby to the village leader, who decides she must return to a Daikini family. Naturally, Willow Willow and volunteers set out to find a suitable family. At a crossroads, they encounter Madmartigan, a mercenary trapped in a crow's cage. He agrees to take the baby in exchange for his freedom. Most Nelwyn oppose this, but Willow and his friend Migosh support Madmartigan, and the others return home. They meet Madmartigan's comrade Eric, who is leading an army to attack Bavmorda. Willow agrees to Madmartigan's terms to join the fight. Like most entries on this list, Willow also is a visually appealing fantasy adventure with impressive sets and cinematography. The music by James Horner is great, but some scenes feel forced and the special effects appear dated. As in, they're bad even by the 80s standards, when people were making movies like The Thing and Alien. Warwick Davis as Willow is quite lovable, though his performance feels uneven at times. Val Kilmer shines as the roguish Madmartigan and delivers humor along with charisma, which is a rare feat to achieve. The plot, though formulaic, moves briskly and has several engaging moments and quirky humor. Some effects, particularly the two-headed beast, feel dated, and a few scenes drag in the middle. Directed by Ron Howard, Willow is a fun watch, if nothing else. Deathstalker 2: Duel of the Titans, 1987. Princess Evie of the Zafir Kingdom falls under the control of the sorcerer Jarek, who uses dark magic to create an evil clone of her. Through this clone, Jarek and his formidable ally Sultana seize power and dominate Zafir. Determined to reclaim her kingdom, the real Evie escapes Jarek's grasp by disguising herself as Rena the Seer. She seeks out Deathstalker, a renowned hero known for his bravery and skill in battle. Together, Evie and Deathstalker form a powerful alliance to challenge Jarek and Sultana's oppressive rule. Their quest involves navigating treacherous terrains, engaging in fierce battles, and overcoming numerous obstacles set by Jarek's forces. As they confront the dark sorcery and formidable enemies, Evie and Deathstalker develop a strong bond, combining their strengths to dismantle Jarek's influence. Their journey is marked by intense combat scenes, strategic maneuvers, and moments of courage and sacrifice. Ultimately, Evie and Deathstalker aim to restore peace and justice to Zafir. Deathstalker 2 is rich with action, much like the original. John Terlesky as Deathstalker showed great chemistry with Monique Gabrielle, who played Evie, aka Rena. John Lazar serves as the villainous Jarek with an intense, grim-dark appeal, while Tony Naples as Sultana was equally good. Furthermore, the film's nighttime scenes, shot in Argentina, created quite an atmospheric backdrop. Although the plot is familiar, the energetic execution and youthful chemistry keep it entertaining. Directed by Albert Pien, the movie balances campy humor with thrilling action. Highlander 2: The Quickening, 1991. In the 1990s, industrial pollution devastates Earth's ozone layer, causing millions to perish from the sun's unfiltered rays, including Brenda Wyatt McLeod. Her death drives her husband, Connor McLeod, to use his vast wealth to save the world. By 1999, Connor leads a scientific team under Dr. Alan Neyman to create an electromagnetic shield protecting Earth from radiation. The shield succeeds, but traps the planet in constant darkness with extreme temperatures and humidity. Humanity loses hope as the corrupt SHIELD Corporation, led by CEO David Blake, controls the shield and charges exorbitant fees for protection. In 2024, Connor, now a frail old man, watches an opera and experiences a flashback to 500 years ago on Zeist, the Immortals' home planet. Chosen by sorcerer Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, Connor leads a rebellion against General Katana's corrupt regime. Using the Quickening, Ramirez bonds with Connor, making them immortal and destined to fight until one remains to claim the prize: immortality, or mortality with forgiveness of past crime. Katana crushes the rebellion, exiling Connor and Ramirez to Earth as immortals bound to battle each other. Awakening from his flashback, Connor meets Louise Marcus, leader of an anti-SHIELD group. She reveals the ozone layer may have healed, and SHIELD Corporation hides this to maintain profits. Louise asks Connor to help dismantle the shield, but he refuses. deeming himself too old and opposing terrorism. Meanwhile, General Katana sends assassins Corda and Reno to kill Connor. Connor defeats them, uses their quickenings to regain youth, and resurrects Ramirez. Together, they plan to overthrow the S.H.I.E.L.D. Corporation and restore Earth's environment. Highlander 2 is as dark and ambitious a saga of revenge and redemption as was its predecessor. It also has strong flavors of magic and futuristic elements. It's safe to say that Highlander 2: The Quickening is a feverish blend of dystopian sci-fi and fantasy. The plot explores bold, chaotic ideas and merges eco-crisis, immortals, and corporate greed, which is not something we see every day in a movie. I mean, not when all these things are combined together into one crazy cocktail. Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery carry their roles with flair, while Michael Ironside embraces his villainous turn as Katana. Though the film's visual style is ambitious, the story struggles with coherence. Its grim tone and eccentric twists make it both interesting and bewildering. And if you don't know what that feels like, watch the movie. But, I have to say this. Despite its flaws, it's an unforgettable entry in the Highlander saga and remains a worthy cult classic. Barbarian Queen, 1985. Princess Amethea is about to marry Prince Argan in her peaceful village when Lord Araker's forces launch a devastating attack. They kill most of the villagers and capture Argan along with Amethea's little sister, Taramis. Only Amethea, her handmaiden, and a fierce warrior survive the chaos. Determined to save their people, they set out on a mission to rescue the captives. Along the way, they encounter and defeat a group of Araker's men, finding Taramis deeply traumatized from her assault. Reaching Araker's city, they meet a band of rebels who agree to help them infiltrate the stronghold, but refuse to join the battle. Inside the city, Amethea discovers that Argan and other villagers are forced into brutal gladiatorial duels. Meanwhile, the queen's handmaiden suffers a sexual assault at the hands of Araker's guards. Amethea and the warrior attempt to rescue their friend, but the warrior dies, and Amethea is tortured. Despite the grim situation, hope emerges when the gladiators, including Argan and Estrild, plan a revolt. Amethea manages to escape and joins forces with the rebels to take down Araker's forces. Together they fight to reclaim their kingdom, restore peace, and bring justice to their ravaged village. The Barbarian Queen ain't half bad. This movie's got all the hallmarks of the genre, like epic battles, scantily clad guys and girls, and of course, plenty of gratuitous violence and nudity. But what sets this movie apart is the titular hero, Amethea. Lana Clarkson does a great job portraying this tough-as-nails queen who isn't afraid to take on anyone who threatens her people and family. And let me tell you, there are plenty of threats to go around in this movie. The action is non-stop, and the fight choreography is acceptable, especially the gladiatorial games sequence. And the final showdown between Amethea and Lord Arakar is intense, with some truly brutal moments. But be warned, this movie isn't for the faint of heart. There's some pretty graphic violence and sexual assault scenes, which may be too much for some viewers. And the dialogue can be a bit cheesy at times, but hey, that's par for the course in these types of movies. Hercules and the Amazon Women, 1994. 3 men wander into a forest only to be attacked by unseen creatures. 2 are killed, but 1 escapes. Meanwhile, Hercules returns to a village and reunites with Iolaus, who is about to marry Aeneas. While journeying to Hercules' mother's home, they encounter a girl who transforms into a hydra. Hercules kills it by burning its severed head to prevent regrowth, and leaves behind a peacock feather, which is a sign of Hera's involvement. Oh, so Hera hates Hercules because he's like the illegitimate child of her husband, but you know that already. Anyway, at his mother's home, Hercules meets Pithous, the man who escaped the forest creatures. Pithous seeks help for his village, attacked by monstrous beasts. Iolaus persuades Hercules to let him join. Upon arrival, they learn the attackers are Amazons influenced by Hera. In the forest, Iolaus is fatally injured in a fight, dying in Hercules' arms. Hercules is captured and taken to the Amazon queen, Hippolyta, who uses magic to force him to confront his past behavior toward women. She declares men incapable of change. Hera orders Hippolyta to attack the village, escalating the conflict. The first of 5 Hercules TV movies, Hercules and the Amazon Women introduces Kevin Sorbo's Hercules and Michael Hurst's Iolaus. The story marries Greek mythology and fantasy elements together while focusing on Hera's influence over Amazons. The New Zealand setting, colorful costumes, and Joseph Loduca's lively score makes everything better, but hardly anything remains good, if you know what I mean. Roma Downey shines as Hippolyta, and she shares surprisingly good depth and chemistry with Kevin Sorbo. While the action entertains, Hercules feels underpowered, and the story could have explored his origins more thoroughly. Despite some flaws, the movie's humor, escapism, and budding chemistry between characters make the movie worth your time. Clash of the Titans, 1981. Clash of the Titans, directed by Desmond Davis, is a fantasy adventure inspired by the Greek myth of Perseus. The story begins with infant Perseus and his mother being cast into the sea in a coffin after she angers the gods. Zeus, moved by pity, washes them ashore on a deserted island. Perseus grows up on the island, escaping his harsh fate. When he arrives at the city of Joppa, he learns of Princess Andromeda's curse. She cannot marry until her suitor solves a riddle set by the evil Calibos, the spoiled son of the sea goddess Thetis. Perseus successfully solves the riddle, but Calibos, transformed into a monstrous creature by the Titan's wrath, seeks revenge. With Zeus's favor and the Titans against him, Perseus embarks on a perilous journey filled with supernatural challenges. He faces deadly beasts like the Kraken and Medusa, overcoming each obstacle to win Andromeda's hand and fulfill his destiny. Throughout his quest, Perseus battles both external threats and internal struggles, striving to save his love and secure peace for his kingdom. Clash of the Titans is unique because it's quite a faithful adaptation of Greek mythology, even before CGI became popular. Despite using familiar tropes like the damsel in distress and heroic adventures, the film remains engaging and adventure-driven. The cinematography is splendid and creates a visually pleasing atmosphere with detailed scenes such as the eerie boat ride and the fearsome Kraken. The special effects, impressive for their time, pronounce the mythological feel and vibe. Although the plot may seem overused, the story flows smoothly and never feels monotonous. Let me know if you've watched it and how you liked it. Amazons, 1986. The Amazons, a legendary tribe of warrior women, face an invasion by King Kalungo, a tyrant wielding dark magic from the demon Balgor. The Amazons' high priest foretells that the magic sword of Azundadi can defeat him. The Emerald Queen sends Diala and Tashi on a quest to retrieve it. Shingi, Tashi's mother, secretly orders her daughter to kill Diala because she was seeking revenge for losing her arm to Diala's mother. Shingi conspires with Kalungo, who distrusts her and sends his shape-shifting servant Akam to ensure success. Along their journey, Diala and Tashi face numerous perils. Bandits attack them, but Diala kills them with Akam, disguised as a lioness, assisting. They encounter the Pagash, demon worshippers who kidnap women for sacrifice. Diala outsmarts and kills the Pagash, rescuing Tashi. A seer warns that only one will survive their mission. In the Cave of the Sword, Tashi hesitates to betray Diala, their bond having deepened. Akam attacks but kills Tashi instead. Diala defeats Akam and claims the sword. Meanwhile, the Amazons launch an assault on Kalungo's castle. Despite his magic giving him the upper hand, Diala's return with the sword turns the tide of battle. Victory is achieved, but at great cost. Amazons is a campy, low-budget fantasy adventure attempting to ride the wave of Conan the Barbarian. While the premise is promising, the execution falls flat. The quest is bogged down by tedious pacing and irrelevant subplots, making its 87 minutes feel endless. The dialogue is stiff and the acting wooden, though Mindy Miller and Denzita Kingsley bring some interesting pull factors. The visual effects are cheap, and the sets lack imagination. Eye candy abounds, with frequent gratuitous nudity, but even that can't save the dull action or thin story. To be brutally honest and putting it lightly, the movie's charm lies in its schlocky absurdity, though expectations should remain very low. Hundra, 1983. Hundra, a fierce warrior, belongs to a tribe of Amazons. She's the only one her age who has never been with a man, vowing to keep it that way. One day while she's hunting, male barbarians attack and slaughter her entire tribe. Hundra survives and seeks guidance from a wise woman. To her shock, she's told she must have a child to ensure the survival of her people. Reluctantly, Hundra begins her quest to find a suitable father. Her first candidate is a sadist with poor manners. She then confronts a murderous robber baron and later meets an effeminate pimp. Eventually, she encounters a healer who treats her with respect. She asks him to father her child, but he declines, explaining that her approach is too blunt. Hundra enlists the help help of other women to seduce him. She succeeds, becomes pregnant, and gives birth to a daughter. But trouble arises when a pagan priest kidnaps her child. Hundra is forced into a humiliating ritual, but learns her allies have rescued the baby. She fights back, defeats her enemies, and returns home. The narrator concludes by stating that Hundra's indomitable spirit lives on in all women. Hundra is a true warrior queen who embodies the spirit of the sword and sorcery genre. Her fierce determination to protect her tribe and prevent their extinction is awe-inspiring, and her unwavering commitment to her own values and beliefs is nothing short of admirable. What sets Hundra apart from other female heroines is her refusal to conform to societal expectations. Furthermore, it's her strength and bravery that truly make her a standout character. Throughout the film, Hundra proves that she is not just a powerful warrior, but also a symbol of hope and empowerment for women everywhere. Or maybe not so much. The film avoids over-reliance on eroticism, opting instead for genuine empowerment, though it does include the occasional gratuitous scene. However, the pacing falters in the middle, particularly when Hundra reaches the city, where momentum slows and the runtime feels stretched. Golden Temple Amazons, 1986. Golden Temple Amazons opens with quite a shocking attack. A tribe of topless horse-riding women storms a jungle chalet, killing a man and woman with arrows. A young girl, Liana, witnesses the massacre. Years later, Liana, now grown and living in the jungle with her animal companions, learns the truth about her parents' murder when a stranger reads her father's diary to her. Fueled by vengeance, she sets out to confront the Amazons who destroyed her family. Liana's quest leads her to Rena, the Amazon leader, and her sadistic partner Uruk, played by William Berger. Their cult is steeped in bizarre rituals and fetishistic undertones. Liana and her allies are captured, igniting a series of chaotic events. The story features Coco, a shaman whose antics provide awkward comic relief amidst the violence. Liana's fight for survival escalates, pushing her to challenge the Amazons and their dark practices. The film builds towards a climactic showdown, blending revenge and jungle adventure. This is one of those films that you're gonna love as much as a dog loves a bone, or you'll get bored to death. You know, I guess it's clear by now that none of the movies on this list were made with the intention of winning an Oscar, and Golden Temple Amazons follows suit. Having said that, this film by Alan Payet and Jesus Franco will leave your eyes glued to the screens, especially if you're a man. The acting is as debatable as the characters, but it's one of those nice films that you can watch with friends and a few chilled ones. And that was all in this one, guys. Let me know if you think I missed one of your favorites. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.